Hello and thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter, Tarnia Green. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. Among the major developments, Prime Minister Skerrit says his government will not abandon social safety net programs. Achievements of the Pishley Village Council highlighted during an inauguration ceremony held on Thursday, and Dominica's Prime Minister continues to voice his support for the new president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Join me as I bring you the details of these and other stories right after the break.
The facts as they are, brought to you every day. Only on GIS Channel 7.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. Notwithstanding the resultant effects of the global economic crisis, Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit says his administration will continue to finance social safety net programs for the less fortunate factions within the society. The Prime Minister gave the assurance during his address at the Pishley Village Council inauguration ceremony on Thursday. Honorable Skerrit highlighted the Yes We Care program and the Chances Home in Jimmet as programs which will continue to be funded by his government. The Prime Minister explained the reasoning why these programs will continue to be supported by his government.
The Yes We Care program, where we're spending tens of thousands of dollars, over $1 million a year, to provide care to the elderly. Grandparents and parents who have been abandoned by and left alone in large measure by their relatives. And in some cases, the children live right next door to their grandparents. But the question is, should the government allow these people to live in that condition that they live in? And we have had to intervene to introduce the Yes We Care program, where we're paying people to go into their homes, clean their homes, bathe them, cook for them, and provide other supplies to them. We have Chances in Jimmet. Chances is costing the state, the taxpayer of Dominica, $70,000 every month to provide a home and care for children who may have been abused or abandoned by their families. Now, if people were to take back all their responsibilities, that's money we could spend in other areas of the country and to assist people.
The Prime Minister says Dominica has not suffered the total brunt of the global economic crisis due to the prudent and responsible management of the country's finances. The Prime Minister made reference to assistance received from friendly countries around the world as another reason why Dominica has been partially spared from the economic downturn.
Dominica has not escaped the crisis, and it is in large measure because of the prudent and responsible manner in which we have managed the economy of Dominica, and because of the sincere friendships that we have developed overseas, why we have not suffered as our other brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. In one Caribbean country, the unemployment rate is 40%. 40%. Unsustainable debt. Cannot meet their salaries on time. Unable to pay the debts. These are the challenges which governments must face on a regular basis. And so far, thank God, in Dominica, we have not experienced a situation in recent time, over the last 7 years, where people are not getting their salaries on time.
In more news, the Pishley Village Council is reporting a number of achievements over the last 3 years. Those achievements were highlighted during the Council's 10th inauguration ceremony held on Thursday. Albert Coffey, who deputized in the absence of Thomas Later, who is unwell, said the village council was able to achieve much and is encouraged to do even more during this new term. Coffey listed repairs to the Pishle Public Convenience Facility as one such accomplishment.
It had been in a deplorable state for a length of time, but today we can boast that it has been repaired, and as far as I can see, it has been maintained and is being kept in good shape.
The cleaning of the Maranatha Square Road located beyond Pishle was also identified as another achievement of the council.
And Maranatha Square is a hamlet attached to the main village of Pishle. Now, it's a surprising thing about Maranatha Square. The same place that you know at Maranatha Square, the same people who live in Maranatha Square, if you were coming to Pishle, you would meet them before you meet Pishle. Today, you pass Pishle before you meet Maranatha Square. And all of this because of Hurricane David in 1979. So the village was before Pishle. Now it is situated beyond Pishle.
The construction of wheel tracks linking Pishle to Bellevue-Chopin through the Lisdara estate onto the Grand Bay Main Road is another recent achievement outlined by Coffey by the village council. He says, however, that road must be maintained.
This one was done some years during my chairmanship, and it has served a very useful purpose because it is the only other way that you have of trafficking to the south in case the main Roseau Granby Road is blocked. It has served its purpose, and I believe that a very important link road like this should be maintained much better than it is at this present point in time.
Coffey also reported that the council was able to establish a receptacle to assist in the community's garbage collection efforts. The construction of a secondary road, which goes into a new housing development in Bellevue, was also highlighted as another accomplishment. In addition, the council was able to establish a support program to assist the Pishle Primary School. At Thursday's inauguration ceremony, a team of 8 nominated and elected councillors were officially sworn in to serve on the council. Coffey encouraged the new council membership to continue to work in the best interests of the community. The new Pishle Village Council is looking forward to staging a village reunion to begin December 2014 and culminate in January of 2015. And Acting Minister for Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs, Honorable Johnson Drygo, has admonished incoming councillors on the Pishle Village Council to approach their responsibilities with a high level of commitment. 3 young men were among the 8 who were officially sworn in as new councillors on Thursday.
It's not going to be easy. Be prepared to be criticized. Because in life, not everybody is going to accept your service. However, be dedicated and committed. You have a role to play in moving Pishle forward, especially in bringing back that Kudme spirit Mr. Albert Coffey said we are going to lose. We're not going to lose Kudme. With this team of councillors, Kudme is going to be alive in Pishle. I can promise you that. I can see it in your face. Okay? So work together as a team and move your community forward.
Parliamentary representative for the Piditt-Savan constituency, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, while echoing similar sentiments of Honorable Drygo, reminded the councillors that the task at hand will not always be easy due to limited resources.
It can be 99.9% of the time a very thankless job. More often than not, the demands, the wishes, the requests outweigh the resources available at any given point in time. So you have to, and people assume that you have a magic wand most of the time to make all their problems disappear, to grant all their wishes, like the fairy godmother of Cinderella. And we all know it's a fairy tale, and magic wands do not exist. So you have the daunting task of trying to satisfy a number of people, demands with limited resources, and this is where the experience comes in place, where you have to decide, you have to prioritize certain projects, and which of the certain projects will have certain things that you do first.
We will bring you more from the Pishley Village Council inauguration ceremony in another newscast. Dominica's Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit continues to voice his support for the new president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Venezuela's Electoral Council has confirmed President Nicolas Maduro's victory in April's elections. The confirmation comes following calls for a recount by the opposition. The Electoral Council says it found no discrepancy in the review of the polling figures. Maduro won by 1.5% margin against Enrique Capriles in April, winning by just over 200,000 votes.
As far as all of us are concerned, these elections were free and fair. They were verified by the Electoral Commission of Venezuela and also endorsed by the Supreme Court of Venezuela, appointed under the provisions of the Constitution of Venezuela. Dominica has made it very clear to all that we recognize the elections and the appointment and election of President Maduro as the constitutionally placed president of Venezuela. And it's rather unfortunate that some countries have not found it necessary to recognize the government for their own personal views. But we in this hemisphere must always stand on matters of principle. And if in some parts of the world the president can appoint the judges and it's fine, why is it that in other jurisdictions, if a president or prime minister or whoever it is appoints judges, they find something wrong with that? In the United States, for example, in 2000, I believe, or 2004, the courts decided that Bush won elections. Many Democrats felt that he hadn't won elections, but the court said he won elections and everybody respected it and everybody moved forward and recognized President Bush as president of the United States. And in Venezuela is no different. The courts have indicated that the president has been properly installed and so forth. And it is really out of poor taste that there's some who have still not recognized Venezuela.
The recently appointed Technical and Vocational Education and Training, or TVET Council of Dominica, has been holding consultation meetings this week with Regional CARICOM Education for Employment Program Consultant Robert Gregory. CEFE has implemented a 5-year program funded by the Canadian International Development Agency, CIDA. This program seeks to improve the Caribbean's education and training systems to better align its programs and offerings with the demands of individual countries' economies. Gregory is on the island to assist the TVET Council in Dominica with the development of a strategic plan to implement the recently approved CARICOM Regional TVET Strategy for workforce development and economic competitiveness.
The consultation is really an attempt to assist each member state to put themselves in a state of readiness to implement all the provisions of the 5-year strategy. At the end of 5 years, we expect to have all of the TVET councils and national training agencies of the region operating on the same plane. This is to facilitate the training, assessment, and certification of the region's workforce, to enable them, certified skilled persons, to move freely within the single market and economy. It's a very important provision of the single market and economy, to provide for the free movement of skilled persons. Now, the only way we'll know that you are skilled, because you come from Dominica and I don't know you in Guyana, is the certification, that visa, that Caribbean vocational qualification that says you know these things, can do these things, and you have this attitude, this predisposition towards your occupation that is required of you.
Gregory says the new TVET strategy is not only to facilitate the certification of non-skilled workers, but will also benefit those coming from the education system into the workforce.
In regard to the education system, the TVET Council, working with the Ministry of Education, is beginning to make provisions for students about to leave school, typically in 4th form, 5th form, to also acquire occupational qualification, so that they would have their 10 CXCs and work-based certification as a chef, as a software engineer, whatever it is, so that when you sit in front of the prospective employer, as 80% of these graduates of 5th form and 6th form seek to do in the first instance, they can sit in front of the employer confidently. When the employer asks you, young lady, what can you do? You say, well, I have my 10 subjects and my 4 CAPE, and I'm also a certified chef. I can start working tomorrow morning, as opposed to saying, well, I have my 10 subjects and 4 CAPE, and I'm looking for work.
According to the CEFE consultant, TVET seeks to help persons to not only find employment, but create avenues for self-employment. However, it is imperative that in the process, global standards are met.
If you have a competence, meaning that you can create a value, and you can discern a market who wants the value that you can create, whatever service or good that you can create, that's what educated, trained people do, okay? So you're not sitting there waiting for some other human being to create a job for you. You have the ability to create a job, if you want to call it that, for yourself, because you have the ability to create value. We are in a very competitive global environment where the standard is one. It is the global standard. Whether it's the ISO or the WTO, they all are subscribing to one global standard. They don't care whether they are third world, Chinese, African, they don't care. We all have to be one standard, one class, world class, or you're no class.
Chairman of the Council, Edison Henry, shed some light on how the certification process will take place, especially for those who are not formally trained.
Let's take a simple thing, for example, like training in music education. We don't have a certifying board for education, for our music in Dominica. However, we train the children, whether you train them on the back porch or you send them to music school. You bring them up to a certain level of competence, and then we ask a music trainer from a recognized institution to come down to assess them. And if they pass the competence level, then they're awarded a certificate. So the TVET Council is actually in the process of creating that gateway so persons can access. So hopefully there will be an application process so persons can come in to get tested to get their certification.
Merrill Matthews, Secretary of the Council, says TVET is not about a distinction between academics and technical skills. He believes the Council has a tremendous responsibility to prepare the public to compete in a knowledge-based global workforce.
The Dominica TVET Council is not about a fight between academic and technical. That fight no longer exists. What exists in the world today and in Dominica is skills. Am I skilled? Am I able to compete in this dynamic world? And so the TVET Council has that tremendous responsibility to educate the population, and I mean the entire population, about the value of skills training and skills development.
This recently appointed 10-member council is expected to serve for the next 3 years. In more news, government continues its efforts to improve the conditions of the island's road network. With work complete on the West Coast Road and work ongoing on Lot 2 of the Airport Road project, the administration is now focusing its attention on improvements to roads on the eastern part of the island. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, along with several government ministers, went on a tour of the East Coast roads to determine the extent of works needed to improve the road conditions.
So we're going to be visiting certain sections of this and for the cabinet to make a determination as to how we proceed and setting a timetable for the process to begin insofar as those roads are concerned. Because clearly we have to enhance the safety of these areas, and it's a very difficult area to build because of the heavy rainfall, the poor drainage coming from the mountains and so forth. So it's a precarious location. So we wanted to go along there and look at the report that was prepared by the Ministry of Public Works so that we can have a better appreciation of the physical concerns and some of the recommendations coming from them, and we can take it from there.
Minister for Public Works, Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, spoke to GIS News following Wednesday's tour. He explained that the site visit was very important as it will help guide the way forward for the development of the project and help in determining an appropriate cost to begin the process of sourcing financing.
What we have done today is to work as a cabinet to get a better understanding and appreciation of the area and what we need to do on certain segments that we need to address in a comprehensive manner. You know, for example, in the ODDS area, that we have a situation whereby every time the country experiences significant rainfall, we have landslides, etc., and other slippages taking place in that part of the island. And so we think that going forward that we have to address this area in a significant way. And we're also looking at addressing the bridges in the White River, Boudica, and other areas, and to ensure that, and in the Fairl area down in River Suik area there, to ensure that we have a situation whereby the road network and some of the interventions that we need to do in terms of box culvert, slope stabilization, and a number of other interventions. So I think that we are demonstrating to the people of Dominica that this government is very serious about ensuring that we address our main routes in a very comprehensive manner.
The Public Works Minister explained to GIS News government's decision to focus on improving the island's road network.
When you hear people talk about we can't eat concrete and stuff like that, it's laughable. As I said just now, the government role really and truly is to provide facilitation for the advancement of the country. Once you build roads, proper roads, people are going to be inclined to build houses, people are going to be inclined to invest, and once you do that, the economy in itself expands, you see? So if you have improved roads and persons build houses, you have more persons in that area, then you have a restaurant, you have a hotel, people employ gainfully, isn't that? So that in itself gives rise to sustainable development, and sustainable development gives rise to sustainable employment, you see? So that's why I said that the government role is to provide the infrastructure, be it social infrastructure, educational, healthcare, be it physical by way of roads and bridges, you get my point, but to create the infrastructure for the takeoff of the economy. So that's why the government is very much serious about ensuring that all the weaknesses are addressed. And I think if you have weaknesses in the physical infrastructure, it will be difficult for the country to develop.
And that's the English segment of the news. We now go over to McPherson, St. Luce for the Creole highlights.
Alors tout le monde, bienvenue à ces nouvelles en créole. Non moins c'est McPherson, St. Luce. Premièrement, officier secteur privé fait certaines recommandations pendant consultation et puis secrétariat au ICS qui concerne l'Union économique. His Excellency Félix Grégoire, c'est ambassadeur Dominique pour OECS.
Moun te ka parler contre bagay pour faire avec union. Yo ni moun ki ka di si yo en leader en union, en leader en pays, avec yo vini yo aller en l'autre pays si yo ke wete avec union na yo tenir ou bien pour aller dans l'autre union. Yo demandé moun demandé contre ça. Moun demandé contre si yo ni goods, marchandises, avec marchandises ça vini en pays, si ni marchandises ou Dominique, avec marchandises sorti hors Caribbean là, des hors Caribbean là, avec vini qui y a les Antigues, avec au Dominique, avec au pays duty Antigues. Si on est pour payer duty Dominique encore, les vini Dominique. So c'est section ça mon camarade. Mon m'a compte l'argent. Si on est un business Dominique, ou aller en l'autre pays, comment si c'est aisé pour payer l'argent, un pays ça pour business. So c'est tout ce que c'est section ça qui c'est mon adéka mandé.
À la nouvelle, comité qui est responsable pour le programme TVET établi selon la loi qui gouverne Education Act. Parole ça là, sorti officier relations publiques pour le comité salam, M. Matthew Leblanc. Leblanc parle contre fonction comité là.
Conseil là, venu en bas Education Act numéro 11 de 1997. Avait Education Act là qui a fait provision pour création conseil. Conseil ça là une fonction fondamentale pour bas ministre la conseil sous tout développement, éducation, et toute relation qui ne pouvait qu'on technical, vocational education. Ça, c'est éducation pour tout le monde. Parce que c'est pas seulement docteur, et avocat, et nurse, et police, et teacher qui n'y éducation. Il y a pile monde qui n'y éducation. Mais éducation là, c'est chose ça fait avec l'homme yo. Nous besoin de police pour aider ces gens là pour éduquer quoi yo bien. Et il y a un pile monde Dominique jeune monde qui n'y a pile métier yo connaît faire. Mais yo pas ni pièce papier, pièce diplôme, pièce certificat pour montrer yo ça fait métier ça là. Là où ba yon travail yo ka fait travail là bien comme docteur. Mais yo pas ni pièce papier si yo voulez quitter Dominique pour montrer yo, c'est ça yo connaît faire, c'est ça yo coutume faire, c'est ça yo bon sous si c'est un canot ou ça fait. Si son costume ou ça fait, c'est peinture ou ça peinture. Ici pose ni moun qui ça vini valider travail ça là ça. Et veut ba un certificat avec diplôme pour dire oui, yo satisfait ou ka faire ça pour combien d'années et veut connaître faire ça et veut ni capacité pour ça faire ça pour vivre. Pour ça juste pas seulement pays là en différents pays kawaii pour ça faire ça pour ça occuper quoi avec famille.
En la nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique a travaillé bien formidable pour avancer le network tout chimé en pays là. Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, ensemble et puis même cabinet visité plusieurs chimés East Coast pays là, à une manière de déterminer quantité de travail qui est nécessaire avancer conditions ces chimés ça là. Selon Premier ministre Skerritt, le gouvernement Dominique déjà tapé $6 millions hors European Union pour bâtir chimé hors pour casser. Quand aller juste délice pour vivre Tissavan. Honorable Skerritt dit si l'argent ça n'a pas assez, quand ça gouvernement qui a tenu négociation et puis People's Republic of China, taper plein l'argent pour bâtir ces projets ça là entiers. Finalement, officier quarantine ministre agriculture Ansem, qui a fait parole que l'occasion banane qui habitant abandonné, sinon maladie black sigatoka, que taper attention au ministre agriculture. C'est l'homme M. Ansem, ministre agriculture qui aussi assisté habitants, diversification d'autres produits pour faire épices agriculture.
Mouni plantation yo pas ka faire rien avec ça là maladie ça nous le dit moun sous parler en figue qui est ministre agriculture qui est extension officer ou qui est endo pour aller sous ça là d'Achine sous ça là dedans sous les plantes zoin ou pas sans ni quitter terre là avec quitter figue là avec ça même ka ende maladie a witi là reproduce avec isa allant d'autres places. So nous avons un programme là nous allons couper toutes ces fixes là qui sont abandonnées et nous les dit moun de nous fait travail ça sous parler à la figue travailler avec nous qui endo ba technical assistant comment on ça à la d'autres crops. So encore nous les dit tout le monde travaille avec nous Black Sigatoka est pas un ministre agriculture issue, c'est tout le monde pour travailler ensemble pour nous garder comment nous gommer contre maladie ça et pas seulement Black Sigatoka mais toute maladie citrus greening giant African snail il y a pile maladie nous ni pour faire ça nous pour faire pour pêcher au monter Dominique et vers au monter Dominique pour mettre le programme en place pour nous garder comment nous manager.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson, St. Luce. Ni un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Find out the many benefits to drinking coconut water. That's up next on our tip of the day.
Scary. Everything just shaking and making big creaky noises.
Earthquakes, big and small, take place in the Caribbean at least 10 times a year.
The dishes rattling and falling and breaking, then Vonnie started to scream.
All I could think to do was shout, "Get outside, get out!"
Earthquakes, hazards, take control, reduce your loss. If an earthquake hits, what can you do? Get down, get under an item of furniture like a table. Hold on and stay there until the quake passes. Find out lots more about earthquakes and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from your National Disaster Office and SEDERA.
One of the most valuable superfoods on earth and nature's most refreshing drinks is coconut water. Consumed worldwide, coconut water is packed with a variety of health benefits. Coconut water is the purest liquid, second only to water itself. It is a natural, refreshing beverage that is excellent for electrolyte replenishment. Drinking coconut water can also aid in losing weight as it is low in fat, cholesterol, and chlorides. It reduces food cravings and keeps a person feeling full. It is excellent drink for diabetics as it is good in nutrients required by the diabetics to keep their sugar levels in control. The risk of kidney stones is greatly reduced because of the presence of minerals, potassium, and magnesium in coconut water. Coconut water works wonders for your skin too, with its anti-aging effects. When applied to acne, spots, wrinkles, stretch marks, cellulite, and eczema, it clears up the skin, giving you youthful-looking, smoother skin. In addition to the benefits to the skin, it also helps in repairing the growth of nails and smooth hair. And that's all for National Focus today. We welcome your suggestions and comments. Please feel free to drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm, or you can visit our website at news.gov.dm. Friend us on Facebook and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I am Tarnia Green. Thanks for watching and have yourselves a wonderful weekend.